My friend pretended to be me online, so I confronted them in front of everyone. And what happened next? Changed everything. You'll be shocked. Have you ever had a friend who crossed a line that left you completely speechless? The kind of line you never even thought was possible for a friend to cross? Well, I had that experience, and it changed everything. You're probably wondering what happened. My friend, let's call him Jake, decided to pretend to be me online. He did this in front of everyone we knew. And what made it worse? He didn't just use my identity to mess around. He used it to do things I would never do. Things that could have ruined my reputation and friendships forever. So, I decided to confront him, and you won't believe how it all went down. Stick around, because this one is a ride. Part 1. The beginning of a friendship gone wrong. So, let me set the scene for you. Jake and I had been friends for a while, ever since high school. We met through mutual friends and instantly clicked. He was the kind of guy who could make anyone laugh, even on their worst days. We would hang out almost every weekend, playing video games, grabbing food, and just shooting the breeze. There was always this unspoken understanding between us that, no matter what, we had each other's backs. But, looking back, I should have seen the warning signs earlier. See, Jake wasn't always the most honest person. He had a habit of bending the truth, often exaggerating stories to make himself look better, or manipulating situations to make him the hero. It wasn't something I really noticed until a bit later, though, because he was always funny and entertaining. I just chalked it up to him being a character. Then, everything took a weird turn when we both started getting into online communities. I was pretty active on social media, especially on platforms like Instagram and Twitter. I had a decent following, nothing massive, but enough to feel like I had a presence. Jake, on the other hand, was more of a lurker. He'd comment on posts like a bunch of stuff. But he didn't have the same following. He always seemed kind of jealous about that, but again, I didn't think too much of it. I was focused on my life, my schoolwork, and just enjoying the social media space, but then, one day something happened that made me stop in my tracks. Part 2. The first signs. It all started when I noticed something strange. I was scrolling through Instagram one afternoon, checking out some new posts from friends, when I saw a story from Jake. Now, Jake wasn't someone who posted a lot on social media, so I thought it was a bit odd that he was suddenly sharing a bunch of updates. But what really threw me off was the first post. It was a selfie of him. Well, it looked like him at first, but there was something about it that didn't sit right. I couldn't put my finger on it. Maybe it was the filter he was using, or how the lighting made him look a bit different, but it almost looked too polished. Still, I shrugged it off. Maybe he was just experimenting with his content, right? A few days later, I saw more stories pop up. And then, something caught my eye. A picture that looked exactly like one I had posted a few weeks ago. It wasn't a photo of us together, just a shot of me hanging out with some friends at a party. But this wasn't Jake, it was me. The same exact picture, except instead of being posted by me, it was on Jake's account. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe Jake had reshared it without thinking. So, I shot him a message. "Hey, did you post something from my account by mistake?" He replied quickly, brushing it off with a simple, "Nah, man, just having fun with some photos." I was confused but didn't think much of it. Maybe he was just messing around. After all, we were close friends, right? No harm, no foul, but then things started getting weirder. Part 3. The disturbing trend. A week passed, and I kind of forgot about the weird photo incident. But then it happened again. This time, I noticed that Jake had posted a photo of a group of friends hanging out. Again, something that looked so familiar. It wasn't from a party I had attended recently, but it was an older photo of me and some friends from a summer trip we took a few years back. And once again, Jake was posting it as if it was his picture. Not only was he reposting my photos, but he had started captioning them with my usual style, joking around, using my catchphrases, and even making references to inside jokes that only my close friends would understand. It was getting a little creepy. At first, I thought maybe he just liked my pictures so much that he wanted to repost them on his own feed. But the more I looked at it, the more it felt like he was trying to become me. He wasn't just sharing my photos, he was sharing the entire vibe of my online presence. He was posting things that only I would post, sharing my thoughts, and even liking posts on my behalf as if he were me. The worst part? He wasn't even tagging me or giving me credit for the photos. It was as though he was trying to erase any trace that these were mine. And it wasn't just one or two posts anymore. This was happening consistently. His feed started looking like a weird combination of my life and his own, except he was the one in control of all of it. I tried to reach out to him again just to clear things up. "Hey man, you're posting a lot of stuff from my profile. Can we talk about this?" But instead of a normal response, Jake brushed it off again. He said something like, "It's just social media, chill out, I'm just sharing stuff I like. You should be flattered." At that point, I had no idea what to think. Was I overreacting? Was I reading too much into it? It didn't feel like it. It felt like something more, and it was beginning to get under my skin. Part 4, the fake profile. Things escalated quickly from there. It wasn't just photos anymore. One day, while I was scrolling through Twitter, I saw something that made my stomach drop. It was a tweet. Not from me, though. I'd never posted it. But it was almost exactly something I would say. "Feeling like a new chapter is coming? Here's to big changes. Let's get it." It wasn't just the tweet that bothered me. It was the fact that Jake's account had now started to look exactly like mine. The same photos, the same captions, even the same vibe. And the kicker? He'd even changed his display name to my name. At first, I thought it was a glitch. Maybe Twitter had some weird mix-up, right? I went to his profile to check, and there it was. His bio now read, "Living life to the fullest vertical bar, catch me online." Exactly how I had described myself on my account. And, of course, the name changed to match mine. It wasn't a glitch. Jake had created a fake profile that was essentially a carbon copy of mine. He wasn't just reposting my content. He was now trying to be me online. I felt a rush of panic and anger. This was crossing a line. I had no idea how long this had been going on. How many of my followers had already seen this fake version of me, or what kind of damage was being done to my reputation. I called him, but he didn't answer. I texted him, "Jake, what the hell are you doing?" I waited a few minutes, my heart racing. Nothing. No response. And that's when I made the decision. I was done being passive about this. I wasn't just going to let it slide. This wasn't funny anymore. This was something serious. Part 5. The confrontation begins. The next day, I met up with Jake in person. I knew we needed to have a serious talk about what he was doing. It was time to confront him directly, face to face. I wasn't going to let him hide behind a screen anymore. We met at the usual spot, a coffee shop we always went to when we hung out. He was sitting there, sipping on a drink, looking casual as always. I sat down across from him, trying to stay calm, but my heart was pounding. I couldn't shake the feeling that this conversation was going to change everything. "Jake," I started, keeping my voice steady, "we need to talk about your Twitter account, and your Instagram, and everything else you've been doing." He looked up at me, almost like he didn't know what I was talking about. "What do you mean, man? You good?" "No, I'm not good," I said, my voice rising a little. "Why the hell are you pretending to be me online? Why are you posting my photos, tweeting like you're me, and even using my name?" Jake blinked, as if he was surprised by my reaction. But there was no guilt in his eyes, no sign of remorse. He just shrugged. "Dude, it's just social media. It's not that big of a deal," he said, as if he was the one being reasonable. "Not a big deal?" I almost shouted. "Jake, you're impersonating me. You're making it look like I'm doing things I'm not doing, posting things I didn't post, and messing with my identity. Do you realize how messed up that is?" He took a long sip of his drink, then leaned back in his chair. "Look, it's not like I'm doing anything bad. It's all harmless fun, man. I just thought it'd be cool to share stuff you like, you know? People love your vibe, and I was just spreading it." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My mind was racing. Spreading it? Jake, it's not about the vibe. It's about respect. I don't want you pretending to be me. This is my online life, my personal brand, my reputation. You can't just take that. He scoffed and waved his hand dismissively. "Oh, come on. You're acting like I'm ruining your life or something. People love the content. You're making it way bigger than it is. It's just a couple of photos and tweets." I stared at him, dumbfounded. How could he not see what he was doing? How could he not understand that this wasn't just a couple of photos and tweets? This was my life, and he was taking it for granted like it was nothing. I took a deep breath. "You've crossed the line, Jake. I'm telling you right now. If you don't take down everything and stop pretending to be me, I'm going to expose this. I'll let everyone know what you've been doing. This isn't something I'm going to let slide. Jake's expression finally shifted. There was a flicker of something. Guilt, maybe? But then he just rolled his eyes. Whatever, dude. It's not like you have a choice. I'm not going to just delete everything because you're being dramatic. My blood was boiling. I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears, but I wasn't backing down. I took a deep breath. You've crossed the line, Jake. I'm telling you right now. If you don't take down everything and stop pretending to be me, I'm going to expose this. I'll let everyone know what you've been doing. This isn't something I'm going to let slide. Jake's expression finally shifted. There was a flicker of something. Guilt, maybe? But then he just rolled his eyes. Whatever, dude. It's not like you have a choice. I'm not going to just delete everything because you're being dramatic. My blood was boiling. I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears, but I wasn't backing down. Part 6. The public shaming. Jake's attitude pissed me off, but I wasn't going to let him get away with it. If he wanted to play this game in front of everyone, then that's exactly what I was going to do. I wasn't about to let him keep making a mockery of my life, especially when he was acting like he had no idea how wrong this was. The next day, I decided to take things public. I could have just called him out in private, but at this point, it felt like he wasn't taking me seriously. He needed to realize that this wasn't just something I could sweep under the rug, so I made a post on Twitter. I wasn't going to hold back anymore. I tweeted, "Hey everyone, just wanted to let you know that someone has been pretending to be me online. It's not a joke or a funny little prank. Someone's been posting my photos, my tweets, and even using my name. If you've seen this, just know it's not me. I'm handling it, but I wanted to make sure you guys knew the truth." It was a bold move. I knew that once I put it out there was no going back. It wasn't just my followers who would see it. Jake's followers would too. And once they saw that I was calling him out publicly, there was no way he could ignore it. I didn't have to wait long. My phone buzzed almost immediately. I got a text from Jake. "What the hell, man? Why are you making this public? You're blowing this way out of proportion." I could practically hear him seething through the text, but I wasn't backing down. I shot back, "Maybe you'll take me seriously now. I've asked you multiple times to stop, and you didn't listen. So now, everyone knows what you're doing." The next few hours were a whirlwind. My post had gone viral among our friend group. People started tagging me in screenshots of Jake's posts, asking me if it was actually me or if my account had been hacked. It was crazy, honestly. People were messaging me, commenting, and DMing me, all asking the same thing. Is this real? What's going on? But the most surprising part? Some of my friends, people I'd known for years, actually started questioning me. They were confused and unsure whether my post was true. They'd seen Jake's version of things, and he'd made it seem like everything was fine, like it was all just a joke, a harmless one. It hurt to see that some of them were so quick to doubt me. I had to keep reminding myself that this wasn't about them, this was about making sure the truth came out. And if they couldn't see it now, they would when they saw Jake's response. And Jake's response? It was nothing short of childish. Part 7. Jake's desperate response. Jake's response came in the form of a long, rambling post on his Instagram story. He didn't respond to my tweet directly, but he started flooding his followers with his side of the story. I honestly wasn't surprised, but I was definitely annoyed. In his story, he claimed that I was overreacting and being dramatic, saying something along the lines of, "I don't know why my name is making this a big deal. I thought it was funny. People loved the posts, and I thought I was helping them get more followers. It's just social media, so why can't we just laugh about it?" The tone of his post was incredibly manipulative. He made it seem like he was the victim, like he was the one trying to help me out by sharing my content. He even threw in a few fake apologies at the end, which felt completely empty. He said, "Sorry if I offended anyone, but this was all in good fun. I just didn't think anyone would get upset over a few pictures and posts." I was furious. It was the classic tactic: deny, deflect, and play the victim. He wasn't owning up to what he did. He wasn't admitting that he crossed a line. Instead, he tried to twist the situation to make it seem like I was the one being unreasonable. But the worst part? Some of our mutual friends actually bought into it. They started commenting on his story, agreeing with him, and telling me I was too sensitive. They said I needed to lighten up, and that it was just a bit of fun. I couldn't believe it. I thought these were people who would see through his nonsense, but here they were, falling for it, supporting Jake, and acting like I was the one who was in the wrong. I didn't let it get to me, at least not completely, but it definitely stung. I knew that I had to keep pressing on if I wanted to set things right. This was more than just about me and Jake anymore. It was about showing people that you can't just take someone's identity and use it for your own gain. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't harmless fun. It was manipulation. I decided that if Jake wasn't going to apologize and stop on his own, I was going to take this one step further. Part 8, Going Public with the Evidence. By now, I knew I had to step up the pressure. Jake was playing the victim and making it seem like I was just some overdramatic friend who couldn't handle a little harmless fun. But this wasn't about fun anymore. It was about taking control of my own online presence and making sure people knew the truth. I'd been collecting screenshots. I had been saving the posts where Jake had copied my photos, my captions, and even the personal stuff I'd shared in private conversations. All of it. I knew it was time to expose him properly, not just in a tweet or Instagram post. No, this needed to be something bigger, something that would make it clear to everyone exactly what Jake had been doing. I spent hours compiling everything. Screenshots of his fake profile, posts where he used my name, and even instances where he'd made comments pretending to be me in group chats and on social media threads. This wasn't just about him stealing my photos anymore. It was about him trying to steal my life. Once everything was lined up, I made a YouTube video. The video was simple. I wasn't trying to be dramatic or start some massive public fight. I just wanted people to understand what was going on. I sat in front of my camera, laid out the evidence, and explained step by step how Jake had crossed the line and why it wasn't okay. I kept my tone calm but firm. I explained how we'd been friends, how I'd trusted him, and how, over time, he'd started to mimic my online persona until it was almost impossible to tell the difference between us. I showed screenshots of the posts, the fake accounts, the comments where Jake had impersonated me. I even showed the messages where I had tried to reach out to him privately, asking him to stop and how he'd ignored me. I ended the video with a clear message. This is who I am. This is my life. If you've seen someone else pretending to be me online, know that it's not me. And for anyone who's ever felt like they've been manipulated or taken advantage of, I want you to know you're not alone. Stand up for yourself. I posted the video across my social media accounts and waited. It didn't take long for the video to start getting views. People started tagging others, sharing the link, and even messaging me to say that they had no idea what was going on. Some of them were genuinely shocked that Jake would do something like this, but, of course, Jake wasn't going to stay quiet forever. Part 9. Jake's Last Stand. The video had barely been live for a few hours when Jake finally reached out to me again. This time, it wasn't through a text or an Instagram comment. He called me. His tone was different, almost desperate. "Why the hell did you make that video, man? You know that's messed up, right? You're going to ruin everything for both of us," he practically shouted through the phone. I stayed calm, though my heart was pounding. "Jake, I gave you chances to stop. I asked you to take down the fake profile, to quit using my stuff without permission. You didn't listen. You decided to ignore me and play this whole thing off like it was no big deal. Well, now people know what you did." "Yeah, but this is different, dude," he said, his voice now shaking. "You can't just air our dirty laundry like this. You're making me look like some kind of villain." I wasn't backing down. "You are the villain in this situation, Jake. You didn't just repost my photos. You made a fake account pretending to be me. You manipulated people into thinking it was me. My friends even thought it was me. What was I supposed to do? Just sit back and let you ruin my reputation?" There was silence on the other end for a moment. I could hear him taking deep breaths, probably trying to think of something to say that would make him sound less guilty. Finally, he muttered, "I didn't mean for it to get this far. I thought you'd think it was funny too." "You thought it was funny?" I replied, my voice rising again. "You didn't just make a few jokes. You stole my identity. How is that funny? How is it funny to mess with someone's life like that?" Jake was quiet for a while, and when he finally spoke again, his voice had softened. "I didn't think it would blow up like this, all right? I never thought you'd make a video about it. I thought we could just laugh about it and move on." It was frustrating to hear him continue to downplay everything, but this time, I wasn't going to let him manipulate me. "I don't care what you thought. You crossed a line, and now, everyone knows the truth." He didn't respond after that. There was nothing left to say. The phone call ended shortly after, but I knew that whatever happened next, this was the end of our friendship. Part 10. The Aftermath. The days that followed the video release were a blur. My phone buzzed non-stop with messages, notifications, and even calls from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Some of them supported me, others were still on Jake's side, but the majority of people seemed genuinely surprised by what had happened. They couldn't believe how far Jake had gone, and most were questioning how they hadn't noticed it sooner. But it wasn't just the people around me who were reacting. Jake had started posting again, this time trying to save face. He posted a long message on his Instagram, apologizing to his followers for any confusion, and claiming that it was all just a misunderstanding. He said he never intended to hurt me or take advantage of anyone, but it was clear he was trying to downplay the entire situation. He even tried to claim that he thought he was helping me grow my online presence. At that point, I knew there was no going back. The damage had been done. Jake and I had been friends for years, and now all of that was in question. People who had once supported both of us were now choosing sides. It wasn't about the photos anymore, or the fake accounts. It was about the trust that had been shattered, and there was no way to fix that. I had to reflect on everything that happened. It wasn't easy. Losing a friend like Jake, someone I had spent so much time with, felt like a betrayal. But I also realized that sometimes you have to make tough decisions for the sake of your own peace of mind. If someone is willing to compromise your trust, manipulate you for their own benefit, and try to ruin your reputation, then maybe it's time to walk away. It wasn't about proving who was right or wrong. It was about respecting yourself enough to not let anyone take advantage of you. As for Jake, I don't know where he is now. We haven't spoken since that day, and I don't plan on reaching out. I've learned a lot from this experience about trust, boundaries, and the importance of standing up for yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. And to anyone reading this, whether you're dealing with a similar situation or just wondering what you should do when someone crosses the line, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't let anyone, no matter how close they are to you, make you feel like your boundaries aren't worth respecting. Your identity, online and offline, is yours to control. Protect it. If you've ever had a friend betray your trust, whether online or offline, I want you to know you're not alone. People don't always understand the weight of their actions, but it's important to remember that you deserve respect. Your voice, your reputation, and your identity are yours to protect. So, if you're going through something similar, don't hesitate to speak up. Confront the situation head on. And remember, it's okay to walk away from relationships that no longer serve you, especially when they're toxic. If you like this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who might need to hear it. And if you've had a similar experience, leave a comment below and let me know how you handled it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Take care, and remember, your identity is priceless. Don't let anyone steal it.